that you have the highest number of Rule 21 violations that I've ever seen. And, I don't have to go into what Rule 21 is, You committed another crime. They charged you criminally with obscenity while you were incarcerated in 2012.
Well, that's not something you ever want to hear at your parole hearing. The most number 21 rule violations. Now, they may not have gone through it, but we will at the end of the hearing go through the rule book and unpack what that means. For now, let's jump in.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Dexter R DOC, 295450.
Right, thank you very much. Mr. Robinson, according to your master prison record, you're a fourth felony offender. You're currently serving a 44-year sentence for the attempted first-degree rape. Also, you had subsequent charges of obscenity. It appears you have a parole eligibility date that has passed, 8/1/2021, an adjusted good time date of 10/28/2036, and you have a full term date of February 1/2039. Does that sound correct to you?
Correct, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Robinson, I'm going to be asking you some questions. At the appropriate time, you also have some people who are joining us via Zoom in support of your release, and we will allow them to make a comment, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Tammy Robinson, that's my sister.
We have Tammy Robinson and Shamanda Robinson, and your mother will be addressing us, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were on, I guess, probation or parole when you committed the offense of attempted first-degree rape. Is that correct? You were on supervision at that time.
Yes, ma'am. I was real young at the time. I really didn't know what I was doing at the time. And I wasn't drinking or nothing. I was just out, saw and I just ran up to her. But as I was young, I just didn't got on up in the age as of right now. Well, like I know better now.
Okay. So let's say that you were not totally aware that what you were doing was wrong. Let's talk about your behavior while you have been incarcerated. Do you know how many disciplinary write-ups you have had?
You know how many disciplinary write-ups you have?
Yes, ma'am. I have 338, excuse me.
That's correct. Your last write-up was for aggravated disobedience, January of 2023.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Robinson,
Please charge the low battery.
Ma'am.
That's
okay. I went through your disciplinary record, and I believe that you have the highest number of Rule 21 violations that I've ever seen. And, I don't have to go into what Rule 21 is,
Right.
And based on your charge, and then for me to see that, have you ever taken any classes? Are you in Madison?
Yes, ma'am. I had took, well, as of right now, I'm in sex offender class,
Uh-huh.
stage 1. But I never finished it out though,
And why did you not finish it?
because I'm still in it. I never graduated out of it.
Okay.
Still doing-
So, one of the rules is that you have to complete that for consideration for parole.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. And you're still in it, and until you stop committing 21s, you may not being along. So while you were incarcerated, you actually received a charge for obscenity, is that correct?
A charge of obscenity while you were incarcerated. You received a charge of obscenity.
That's 21.
When they charged you.
You committed another crime. They charged you criminally with obscenity while you were incarcerated in 2012.
As I was, you can hear me? You can hear me?
Yes.
As I was, doing time, when I first started, I just had a mentality that I just didn't care because I had too much time to get work like ahead of me. But as of right now, I didn't have 21 in so long. Cause I prayed, like I prayed on it and asked the good Lord to take the sickness out of my system.
How accurate that is. You received a 21 in 2015. That's the last one that I see
Right.
in 2015.
21 F, 2020.
Oh, in 20, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, in 2022, excuse me, I was on the wrong page. 2022, you received a 21E.
Right.
Okay. We have a tool that we use to evaluate the risk assessment. It's an evidence-based tool, and you score a moderate for the static 99. Mr. Freeman, do you have any other questions for the offender?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Stapleton?
I don't have any questions. We have a victim statement, and I'm not going to read all of it. But she gave permission for it to be read and said that she would be watching on Zoom. So she just said that the attack on her, that it changed her life, and she was fearful, so fearful she didn't go to church for years because of it. And she said she's fearful of you getting out, that if you do, that you might come and hurt her again, or hurt another woman, if not her. So that's one victim opposition, and I just wanted to let you know about that. That's my only statement.
So we have Tammy Robinson, your mother. She wishes to speak. Can we get Ms. Robinson to give her testimony now?
Is she on?
She's on, and said that they'll meet their mic.
Ms. Robinson, if you'll unmute your mic. And if also you will allow us to, turn the camera on so we can see and hear you. And you're welcome to give a 3-minute statement in support. Ms. Robinson, if you're not available, then what we'll do is Warden, I would like for you to oh wait, is she there?
Hello?
Okay, Ms. Robinson, this is the committee of parole. If you would like to make a statement in support of your son, please do so now. We can't hear you.
You got a microphone.
Okay, I'm sorry. We've been unable to connect with Ms. Robinson, but we do note that she did attempt, and also your niece is in support. Now, Warden, if you wouldn't mind providing us your input.
Good morning. I've known Dexter Robinson since 1999, and although he has improved his conduct record in the last year, I think that Dexter could really benefit from a lot more programming that we have to offer. I don't think that he's been quite equipped with the tools necessary to be able to have the opportunity for success as he re-enters. He is in the first phase of the sex offender program. There's 4 phases total. And he is also on the list for living in balance and victim awareness. He has not yet been enrolled or completed those classes. And I would also, as I spoke with him on Friday, like to see him get some education, background behind him that which would be able to benefit him, I think, as he does, when he does get the opportunity to re-enter society. So that's, I think as long as he could get some more tools, he would have a better opportunity to be successful.
You have a good advocate in your court there, Mr. Robinson. I hope you take advantage of knowing she's working to make you better. We do have Ms. Robinson now on Zoom. We would like to go to her for her comments. I can't hear you.
Hello,
Okay,
hello.
you may proceed. I can hear you now.
Is that on you?
Hello,
Hello, we can hear you on the phone.
Charlie.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Let you all know that my brother have been gone for so long, and I think he have changed a lot, and he's not a bad person or anything like that. And I was wondering, to me, I think he have changed his life and everything. And I told him to start going to school and everything. If he get out, he would have a job with my husband. He's a licensed electrician, worked for air and heat and air. And everything that we would take care of him, and he won't do that anymore. And I believe that he's not a bad person.
I'm sorry, could you state your name and your relationship to the offender?
Okay, my name is Tammy Robinson. I'm his sister.
Okay, thank you. I made note of that. Thank you so much, Tammy, for joining us and providing those comments. I'm glad he has a support system.
Okay. And he's been gone so long, the family, we all been to see him, so.
Okay, great. Thank you. And we're going to hang up now.
Okay, thank you and have a good day.
Now, sir, Mr. Robinson,
Ma'am.
would you like to make a statement before we make any consideration?
Okay, just like I say, when I was young, I really didn't know no better, but as of right now, I done got on up in the age. I know a lot better now. Also, I'm with the Lord now. I get up every morning, get down on my knees and ask the Lord to keep me out of troubles, just to keep me focused. And do the same thing at nighttime before I go to bed. So, as right now, I know better.
Well, I appreciate, Mr. Robinson, your acknowledgement. At this time, we do have someone in opposition to your parole, victim opposition. Ms. Ola is on the phone, and we're going to let her make her statement.
Ms. Ola, can you hear me? Yes, I can. Hold on one second, please.
All right. Ms. Ola, this is the parole committee, and we can hear you if you'd like to make a statement at this time.
The last time I spoke that year, I said, you know, that I forgive it. But he was gonna have to ask God for forgiveness in myself. Forgive him. So I hope he's okay. And I hope he gets changed and ready to come back to the community with a different spirit, mind, and soul.
So,
Funny, but you know, it shouldn't have happened, but it did.
so are you opposed to his release?
That's not so much as I'm opposed to it. I don't know if he understands the purpose of him being when he comes to this action.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you being willing to come and talk.
for now.
I really appreciate you being willing to come in and talk to us.
Oh, there's no problem. It is, really, you know, that it never, have case they done to me. You know, still going through it, but, you know, that has never happened to me before, but, why? I could get it. Yeah. Anything,
Thank you so much for your comments. We appreciate that.
feel so well.
Um,
Okay. Okay, you know, y'all,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So now we have asked you questions. We've heard from support and opposition. We do have law enforcement opposition. Mr. Freeman, would you?
Okay, the community attitude, law enforcement attitude is, the judge in the 4th Judicial District had no comment. The judge in the 18th JDC is opposed, Judge Baptiste, Alvin Baptiste. 4th Judicial District, District Attorney Robert II is opposed. District Attorney Scott Staffy, speaking on behalf of Tony Clayton, is opposed. Mike Tubbs of Morehouse Parish, the sheriff is opposed. The chief of Bastrop is opposed. The offender's family, which is heard from her, Ms. Robinson, is unopposed. And we also had the victim impact statement. I just want to put that in the record.
Mr. Robinson, at this time, based on your conduct while you've been incarcerated, my vote is to deny your parole. Ms. Stapleton,
I concur to deny.
Mr. Freeman.
Okay, Mr. Robinson, listen to the warden, please. You gotta have a better disciplinary record when you come back. And you also need to finish those sex offender classes before we're gonna consider you for release. So my vote is, to deny.
So, sir, at this time, your request for parole has been denied. We do wish you well. Thank you. Thank you, Warden.
You have a good day.
Okay. The time is now 9:39 and the Committee on Parole is going to adjourn from this site. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the first question that I have to ask is, what do you need to do to get a high risk assessment score? I don't know if you picked it up, but his risk assessment score was moderate. I would love to talk to these PhDs that made the algorithm and just have them explain that to me. Someone who has the most number of 21 write-ups, which are sex offense write-ups, that she has ever seen. Now, she didn't say the number, but he has 338 total write-ups, which might also be the highest number of write-ups that we have ever seen. And I wonder what number of those are 21s. And the last 21 he received is not one that we see either, which is a 21E. What we're used to seeing are 21Cs, which are offender on offender, which frankly in a prison, you'd kind of expect that. It's more, are they getting caught or not kind of thing. 21E, though, which is what his last one was for, was obscenity. No offender shall deliberately expose themselves and or pleasure themselves in the view of staff or non-incarcerated persons. So this was his most recent 21 write-up. And still, he only has a moderate risk score to reoffend. So hey, what do you know, right? Wow. His full term date is 2036. He had a 44-year sentence. We don't have any other information on his offenses. In our court appeals, it seems he took a plea deal where they give attempted sexual assault, which always bothers me because you can pretty much almost with certainty say that there's no such thing as, not that it wasn't attempted. They just did a plea deal, and I always wonder, what does that mean to the survivor, to the victim, when you do a plea deal, when you call it attempted. But anyways, that it was 44-year sentence that it was. And how many other offenses? They weren't clear. They didn't make him talk about his crime. They didn't have him do that. I know that they knew they were going to deny him going into the hearing regardless, but never seen that warden before either. So that's the first time seeing her. His full term date. So yeah, it's I don't really know what else to add to this hearing except that it's scary, right? It's disturbing to think that no matter what, he is getting out in 2036. That's in 12 years. So you have to really hope. He's 57 years old, so yeah, he's still gonna be young enough. But I don't really have much more to add to this, except I guess, as his relative said, was it his mother or was it his sister, that he's a good boy. He's a good boy. And with that, we can move to the next hearing.
Let's see, Mr. Harrington, you were sentenced to a total of 20 years for sexual battery and aggravated incest. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You had a parole date. Well, you have a parole date of 5/23/24. No matter what's decided today, you wouldn't get out until May. And a full term date, not too far away, 7/1/26.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is that correct?
Sir.
Okay, so I'm gonna begin the questioning today, and let's get started. Okay, Mr. Harrington, how old are you?
I'm 45.
Okay, and how long have you done on this sentence?
I've done basically almost 18 years. Close,
Okay. Was your total sentence 20 years?
20 years.
Okay. What's your educational level?
At the M level.
At the what level?
M level. At the highest level.
Okay, good. All right, Mr. Harrington, what went on? What was going through your mind at that time?
Well, I say my mind, I was wrong from my mind the way I was. But I'm gonna put it like this: I done in my past was wrong. But I take my choice. I take whatever I have to take. I changed my life. Not me anymore.
Okay. If you could say something to the victims, what would you tell them? And do not address them, address the board.
I would say I'm sorry. Where I was, my past, everything.
Okay, Mr. Harrington, I see you hadn't taken many classes since you've been in. Have you taken a sex offender class?
Yes, sir.
Where did you take?
I got a certificate in that sex offender class. It's
Okay.
SO. They call it's a certificate for SOP.
Okay, we're gonna check on that because I didn't see no sex offender classes in the file.
Here.
Only class I see that you've taken is Life's Healing Choices.
Yeah,
What did you learn in sex offender class? If you took it, what did you learn?
I was in Pine Prairie when I took that. I learned that I know I was wrong, and then I admitted things, and it taught me a lot. It taught me how not to do the things I did before.
Okay.
And it,
Okay, Mr. Harrington, you have 3 children?
no, I have one.
You have 1 child. Okay, and what's your child's name?
Marshall Anthony Harrington.
Okay, do you have any contact with them?
Oh, sir.
And, let's see. Okay, law enforcement, the DA is strongly opposed, the sheriff is opposed. Your mother, Diane Harrington, is unopposed. Victim's father and mother want him to serve at least till the victim was 18, but the victims are 18 now. And the victims were still opposed. Ms. Cormier and Mr. LeBlanc, both strongly opposed. And we'll hear from Mr. LeBlanc later. So did we ever verify, did he do his sex offender or not? I don't think like Prime Perry wouldn't have our class. That's a parish jail. Okay. Are you working? Where you working?
I'm at a car wash.
Okay, how much are they paying you?
They don't pay me.
They don't pay you. Okay, so you're just working for the facility, you're a trustee.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Warden, have y'all had any problems with Mr. Harrington?
I've been the warden since 2016, and we hadn't had any issues. He hadn't had any disciplinary issues since I've been here in 2016.
Okay. All right. Okay, I have no further questions. Do my board members have any questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'd like to read into the record, what the district attorney's opposition statement was. Dangerous sex offender who caused significant trauma to the victims presents an unacceptable risk of harm to others. Family of child would ask he remain incarcerated until the child or the children are 18. These were sex offenses against mother. They believe that he should serve the full amount. I agree because, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Okay, let's hear from Brad Jones. Mr. Jones?
Yes, sir. How are y'all?
Good. Mr. Jones, tell us what you want to say on behalf of Mr. Harrington.
So on behalf of Mr. Harrington, my name's Brad Jones, and I met Mr. Harrington through through a ministry with the prison system. So I met Mr. Harrington approximately 6 years ago, and through that time and those encounters, I've noticed a change in Mr. Harrington. I noticed that his personality had changed. He started being a little bit more active from a faith-based perspective. Mr. Harrington showed leadership with helping new inmates whenever they made it into the facility. He was there to really instruct those guys, to teach those guys to understand, help them to understand the rules and regulation of the facility. Not only that, Mr. Harrington has showed that the intent of the penal system as far as rehabilitation, from my perspective, for what I've seen over the past 6 years, he showed a willingness, and he also showed a dedication that he's a different man than the Harrington who was sentenced some years back. So in my opinion, based off my encounter with Mr. Harrington, that he showed that the penal system, rehabilitation system has worked in his in that area with him. And I think he showed that he's given the second chance, or given it the chance that he could be a productive citizen and obey the rules set by this panel.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Harrington, would you like to give a statement on your behalf before we let the victim speak?
I believe I'm ready because I'm ready to go out there and be about my father's business. I love this Christian life because it changed my life and it helped me be a better person. Whether people believe me or not, but I still thank God no matter what. Because I know that I am changed and I'm willing to do what the rule is, I'm willing to do what the law says. And it's gonna take a little time at a time, but I got to get used to it. And I thank God for everything.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, at this time, we'll hear from Mr. Christopher LeBlanc. Mr. LeBlanc? State your name, please.
I am Mr. Harrington's victim. 3 bullet points, it's just 3 facts, 40 million, 1 to 6, 90%. I want you to remember those 3 numbers. 1 to 6 victims are boys. 40 million Americans walk around the United States as of today as victims. And 9% is where 9% of people who are victims come from close relatives or someone they love and trust. Harry was married to my stepsister. Marshall is a nephew, which is a son. Harry stole my childhood. I was a victim, but he stole my childhood. I couldn't go spend the night at friends' houses. I couldn't go to ball games. Couldn't trust him. As an 11-year-old kid, it's hard to put in their face. The statistic saying 1 out of 10 victims become raped. Tell an 11-year-old that he has a 1 in 10 chance of being a rapist. It's hard to live with. It's hard as a father. I have kids that are the age that I was when the victim started. It's hard as a father that my kids go spend the night somewhere. It's hard as a father to trust people around my kids. It's something I have to live with every day. I have to learn. I just don't agree with current rules. Back to 40 million, I'm putting 40 million Americans walk around as victims. Don't give them the chance to get out early and make one victim.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that's it. Is the panel ready to vote? Okay, I will be voting first since I had your case. Mr. Harrington, a lot of stuff was said here today. First off, I want to thank the victim for showing up today. You don't know how much that means to us, and I know it was very, very tough on you. Also, you gave me some information that I didn't know, and I appreciate that. But the bottom line, Mr. Harrington, is that it wasn't just one child, it was 2 different childs, and history says most of the time, that they will reoffend, plus you've never had sex offender treatment. So I'm gonna get you moved to a DOC facility where you can have your sex offender treatment, and then you can reapply, but my vote is to deny.
Under treatment, that is my greatest concern today. Without that treatment, I think it's unfair to you and to society for you not to have that treatment prior to leaving prison. So that's my vote, is to deny and recommend sex offender treatment in the DOC facility.
I want to expand upon what the victim just said. I agree with everything that he said, but also, like you said, a close family member or a close friend. So you come into their lives as a wolf in sheep's clothing. You seem like a very trusting person, and they do leave their children in your care. And most of the time, when the children are old enough to threaten or bribe with candy or something like that, they're groomed. You're shaking your head like you're familiar with that. So that's what kids go through. And then they feel like they were a party in the whole thing if they were bribed. And they're not, because they're just babies. So yes, you do need sex offender classes, and you're fixing to get out anyway. So I hope you really have changed, but statistics aren't in your side, but you're not a statistic, you're a man. So it's up to you what you're going to do with the rest of your life. And, you know, certainly you stay away from victims. So my vote today is to deny.
Okay, Mr. Harrington, you had 3 votes to deny, so your parole has been denied. We'll be closing out at East Feliciana at 9:25.
Cockroach. He looks like a cockroach. He's the classic. It's just the classic roach. And there's nothing there. There's nothing home. And this is just, again, the proof, not that we needed it, but kicking the ball down the road. Now, 20 years, you would say that is a lot. That's on the high end. We're accustomed to seeing much less. But what happens when the 20 years is up? He's 45 years old. He's getting out no matter what. And I think Miss Stapleton, she gets it. I like her. She gets it. A wolf in sheep's clothing. Statistics are not on our side. You know, they didn't mention his risk score. Maybe they're trying to spare us. Maybe they're pretty upset about it as well. The joke risk score. It's not clear to me how he was related to the victim. I listened to the hearing at the beginning 3 times. Maybe he was an uncle. I mean, to get the aggravated incest charge, sexual battery, what does he say? He says, I mean, there's nothing that he alters his relative's life, child's life forever. And his apology, what he would tell when the board asks him, because it doesn't give an apology at the end. When the board asks him what he would say, I'm sorry for the way I was. He's just a disgusting creature. But Brad Jones with the ministry, you know, he's right. He's a changed man. He's ready to go. I mean, he's vouching for this roach to get out of prison and so he can reoffend. It's insane. Can you imagine standing up for someone who does that right before the victims actually speak? I mean, what type of, how could you do that? Just like, you know, I imagine he's a rational, you know, someone who can think clearly, but it's like, how do you talk yourself into pleading for this roach to get out? And keep in mind, he's getting out anyways in July of 2026. So they want to put the victim through this just for the hell of it. And what's he doing in prison for all these years? Not even taking the programs. It's like, I don't know. This was a weird. I wish that they would have drilled in on this interview. I wish they would have beat him over the head with it. He had more than one victim. They know that he has more than one victim. And it's like, where's the DA? Where's the DA? Because surely the victim, the survivor of this monster, you would think would have appreciated if the DA would have gotten up and laid down the facts of the case and just put this roach where he belongs, but it just doesn't happen. That's because it's a child. There's one piece of information that Richard found, thank you, and actually it's quite, I don't know if ironic, but it's quite timely. Remember when Mr. Freeman says, what's your education level? And he goes, the highest level. The highest level. So when I heard that, I thought, okay, you got a college degree. I mean, maybe it's like, maybe at least he has a high school diploma. But no. The highest level, you can see just his manipulation working. He got his GED October 17th, 2023, the highest level. He got his GED like 6 months ago, or whatever the math is. Harry Harrington beamed with pride after being named the most persistent and dedicated student of his graduating class. Now, isn't that a scary thought? That mumbling, jumbling roach is listed as the most persistent and dedicated in his graduating class. Can you imagine how? Whew. The barbed wire and tall gates define his past as an incarcerated prisoner, but his high set and certificate of honor define a bright future that begins when he departs. I would have asked this author, just have a conversation with him, okay? Have a conversation with him. Harrington is part of 4 classes of students who received their high school equivalency in August during the commencement program at East Feliciana Parish Prison. 5 other student certificates from the Equipment and Engine Training Council that will allow them to reap the benefits of freedom and promising careers, thanks for the training starting during their incarceration. Parish Prison Warden Kenny Sanders is responsible for keeping his prisoners secure and incarcerated, but he and Sheriff Jeff Travis matched that task with concern for what happens when prisons are released. That's a typo, prisoners. Improve their outcome is the goal of the programs like HiSET, or what used to be referred as getting a GED. 4 years of classes, 2019-2023, graduated with high school equivalent in August. Sanders feels this is a valued step in the right direction. Even just this, that they have him busy getting his high set instead of putting him in sex offender programs. Not that I believe the sex offender program will do anything to help the search. I don't believe it for a second. On the contrary, I believe it will only empower and train him to not get caught in the future. But for the system that is drunk on their own Kool-Aid, the idea that they're putting him through this before that is insane. And I would say it's insane anyways. But anyway, well, okay. Normally, these guys drop out early in school and their level of education is low. It's hard for them to get function, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I don't know. Sanders says that despite its size, East Feliciana Prison has more people who have gotten their high set than Hunt and Cottonsport prisons. They have added life and vocation training courses, drug and alcohol programs, and regular engagement from faith-based organizations. All right, guys. So if you get locked up in Louisiana, go to this prison. You'll get an education. And it doesn't seem hard. You can probably get an award for being the most dedicated and persistent. But you can't make it up. You can't make it up. You hear the survivor talk. You hear him talk about how it's affected his life, how much pain he is still in. You hear him, he has to get up there with his fiance. He has to get up there and talk about his children. He has to get up there and you can just hear him. You can hear in his voice, you can hear the tremoring. And it's like, why is it that these monsters and these roaches come before the survivors, before the victims? Why is it that the DA can't show up? Anyways, I'm burnt out. I've done a bunch of these hearings since I've been back, and it's crazy. It's like one after the other after the other. With that, I'll let you go.